Well, I'm sitting here in Stockholm, and I can't help but want to comment on the letter published by Janis Schmitz, who is former head and member of the Human Rights Commission of the Latvian Parliament, or Saima. Well, this letter calls for a very serious restriction on freedom of speech and freedom of assembly in Latvia, essentially for imposing political censorship based on the moral views of certain religious groups, and maybe even the moral views of the majority of Latvians, or a substantial number of Latvians. But that is precisely why civilized countries have laws about freedom of speech, in order to guarantee the rights of minority opinion to be expressed, even opinion that may be in some ways repugnant to the majority. Now, Latvia is an extremely homophobic country. I can attest to that as a heterosexual person who simply watched some of the events surrounding the earlier Pride events in Latvia in 2006 and 2007. In 2006, the Pride March was banned, and an angry mob gathered where the Pride organizations, the gay rights organizations in Latvia, had gathered in a hotel. In 2007, the whole event took place in a park where it was guarded by police, but surrounded again by a jeering crowd of people who felt that it was their duty to yell obscenities and in other ways attack people simply exercising their freedom of speech. And that is the most important issue for me: the right of anybody in Latvia to verbally or in writing or symbolically express any point of view whatsoever, no matter how repellent that may seem. And that, of course, even applies to some of the activities on the 9th of May, when old Soviet war veterans and their sympathizers gather at the so-called Victory Monument in Riga, which for most Latvians symbolizes not liberation, but 50 years of Soviet occupation. The liberators of Western Europe, as we all know, stayed around for a short time and then left and allowed free elections and democracy and national independence to be restored in the countries that they, from which they evicted the German Nazi occupying forces. This did not happen in Latvia. Latvia was returned to the Soviet Union. And I certainly have no sympathy for any of the people gathering on the 9th of May, but I strongly defend their right to do that, as I strongly defend the right of the gay rights organizations of the Baltic countries, the three Baltic countries, to hold the first Baltic Pride. That is their inalienable right to freedom of speech and freedom of peaceful assembly, and their right against the opinion of any majority to express a viewpoint that people don't like. We have no purpose for having freedom of speech or calling that freedom a freedom of speech, when what we really mean is the freedom to say nice things, or the freedom to say things that everybody agrees with, or the freedom to say bland criticisms of the government or public institutions or even social morality. No, freedom of speech is the right, yes, indeed, to offend, to criticize, even to make irrational and baseless assertions, as long as they are merely verbal or expressive statements. That is my firm position, and I think that, and I hope that many people in Latvia, even those people who may object to such ideas that are controversial, that are being raised by some of these pride activities, such as calling partnership between two people of the same sex, marriage, or raising the issue of whether such partnerships should be able to adopt children or to keep children from earlier relationships or whatever. All of that can be openly discussed, can be discussed based on facts and research and respecting the right of anybody to freely express opinions on these things, including what I consider to be the rather ignorant and crypto-fascist opinion of Mr. Janis Schmitz. Janis Schmitz has a right to say that, but so does Linda Freimane, the leader of the Latvian LGBT rights group Mosaica. Everyone has the right to free speech in Latvia, and everyone's right to free speech in Latvia has to be defended.